Hello, welcome to the St. Louis Goalkeeping Academy. Today we're going to give you some tips and techniques on your two different kinds of distribution with regards to throwing. All right. The first type of distribution that we're going to use is what's called a bowled or rolled ball. You're going to use this technique when you're only trying to cover short distances, anywhere between 10, 15, maybe even 20 yards of distance between you and the teammate that you're trying to throw the ball to. All right. This technique, from a physical standpoint, is very, very easy. It's not hard to do, but there is a drawback to it. The pitfall is that because it's so easy to do, a lot of goalkeepers will tend to stop concentrating. They won't concentrate as much as they should, and this starts to lead to sloppy serves. All right, a breakdown of the technique. The quality of the ball that's being distributed to the teammate isn't as good as it should or could be, and sometimes if the ball is really bad, it'll start to lead to turnovers. It puts your teammate under pressure because the quality of the serve isn't very good, and now there's a risk that your teammate will lose the ball to an opponent anywhere between 10, 15, 20 yards from your goal. All right, so it's very important that although it's not physically hard to do, that the concentration level remains high and that you're striving for perfection at all times. The first thing we got to talk about with this technique, all right, is the setup in terms of how our ball sits in the hand. This ball should sit right in the palm of my hand here, just like this when we're coming back. Now, if you have younger players or you're dealing with younger players, sometimes their hands aren't big enough to control the ball cleanly. So you see a lot of players anywhere between ages 7, 8, all the way to 10 or so. A lot of times they want to use the second hand as a steadying hand or a guide hand when they come back like this. If at all possible, try to discourage that. Okay? Ideally, if their hand is not big enough for the ball just to sit in the palm of their hand like that, one trick we can use is to take the ball and kind of pin it to our forearm like that and let them use the forearm as a steadying influence for the ball as opposed to that second hand like this. So if we could just take it like that, all right, we want that ball to sit right underneath, the hand right underneath the ball on top and just there. Fingers spread, all right up against there like that. So that's the hand position that we want to have this ball in when we start to bowl the ball. Now we know in a roll ball or a bowl ball, the ball is going to go along the ground. Now the two ideas in terms of how the ball should get there, the ball should get there fast, and we would like the ball to get there smooth. What I mean by smooth is it shouldn't have a lot of bounces along the ground. It should be nice and flat along the ground, okay, with regards to traveling to your teammate. Now you say, well, okay, no problem, I can get there flat to the ground. How do we go about doing that? The key premise to this, all right, is that you make sure that you bend at your knees. In order to get a ball that's nice and smooth, you want to get your waist as low as you can to the ground. The way you do that is by bending. Okay? So the first priority with this is that you get here, that we get our hips low to the ground like this. All right. We also don't want our shoulders, from our hips to our shoulders, we don't want to be up tall like this. We want to take our shoulders and lean down over the top of our feet, over the top of the ball. What this generally prevents is from the ball driving down into the ground, releasing early, driving down into the ground and bouncing up, all right, and ended up bouncing to our teammate. Now, if you're right-handed, I'm right-handed. A lot of goalkeepers are right. Most goalkeepers are probably right-handed. If you're right-handed, you want to make sure that you're stepping into it with your opposite foot, which would be your left foot. If you're left-handed, okay, you want to make sure that you're stepping in with your right foot. So opposite hand-foot combination there. All right, for me, I'm right-handed, so I would want to step in with my left foot. The position should be here. My foot, my left foot, my lead foot should be pointed at whatever my target is. Wherever my teammate is that I'm trying to bowl the ball to, my lead foot should be pointed directly at them. My hips, my shoulders, again, pointed directly at my target. So if you were my target, it should look just like this. My foot facing you, my hips, my shoulders facing you directly, and I would bend at the knee. Okay? Here, if I'm bowling this way, I want to be in this position down here. Okay? The knee doesn't necessarily have to be touching the ground behind it. It's okay. You just want to get low enough so you can sink your hips down. The next thing we got to really concentrate on is the arm swing of the ball. All right, we've already talked about how the ball should sit in the hands. Now we got to talk about what is the arm swing, what is the motion. This is very critical, and this is where the concentration really starts to come into play. In order to bowl a ball accurately, straight ahead to your target, wherever you want it to be, it's very important that the arm swing comes straight back and straight forward. All right? If the arm swing comes off to the side, crooked, off to the side, all right, one way or the other, the follow-through has to be crooked as well. All right? Now, sometimes there's two ways it can be crooked. It can either come out wide and be crooked and then come across your body that way, all right, or it can come back more towards your backside, all right, and come off crooked that way. The idea is to come straight back, straight forward. Not hard to do, but you've got to concentrate on doing it correctly. All right, the third item that we need to talk about with regards to this is your release point. Where should you be releasing the ball? If my arm goes straight back, my arm comes straight forward, at what point do I want that ball to leave my hands? The point that it should leave my hands should be even with my feet. All right? If I'm right-handed, step out with my left foot, I bend at my knees, my hand comes straight back and straight forward. All right? The point should be right about where my hips are, that I should release the ball, and my fingers should be just above the grass. All right? I want to be so low that my fingers are maybe just a teeny bit above the grass when I release. Now, if I release too early, let's say I release the ball back here, I like to move it back here as opposed to down there, right below me. What happens is that ball is going to come out, hit the ground early, and bounce up. All right, and then the ball ends up being a bouncy, choppy ball to my teammate, which sometimes, depending on the distance and the speed I'm getting it there, can be difficult to receive. All right? If I release the ball late, which is past my hip point here, if I release it out there in front of me, what happens is that ball ends up being looped to my teammate. And that poses a problem, number one, because it takes longer to get there, okay, because it's going up to really go down. The other part is it's very difficult to receive as well. All right? Remember, we want to make this as easy for our teammate to receive as possible so we don't put him under any undue stress or pressure with regards to receiving it and opponents in the nearby area. Okay? So I've got to come bend, straight back, straight forward, release right down where my hips are, right in line with my body, and then just follow through. All right? Now, in terms of how we're going to do drills, you say, well, how can I work this out? How do I know that if my arm is coming straight back or straight forward? Well, the key to this really is just to watch the ball as it comes out of your hand. The ball should be an indicator for you as to if your technique is correct or if it's not. If the ball ends up coming out and it's kind of spinning slightly from right to left, and the trajectory of the ball along the ground is taking it to your left, then you know the chances are that you came wide out to your right side, all right, crooked, you followed through crooked, and the swing came across your body that way, all right? Hence, the ball having a little bit of rotation from right to left, and the trajectory, the line of the roll curving off to the left. If for some reason the tendency is, as you release the ball, that there is a spin on the ball from left to right, and it's the rotation, the trajectory of the ball is taking it off to the right of center, then chances are your arm swing came back across, and when you released, it came out away from you that way. All right, as opposed to just coming straight through here, it came out off at an angle that way. All right, so the idea is to come straight back and straight forward. Let the ball be your guide in terms of what you need to adjust from effort to effort.